The only thing that is there in the individualized consciousness is the sure reflection of what is presented to it by Yuji Krishnamurti. Hello everyone, this is PB Flower, author of the series All Kaal None. It is a romantic fantasy science fiction novel and not philosophical or religious take by any means, or exclusively at least. I have taken Yuji's rantings and incorporated them along with my love for this creation, its mystery, and of course given a romantic spin, as I am very romantic. Despite of being hurt many times, I never gave up on love, and then I found a guy who turned it around for me, and he's now my husband. Well, without being swept in the sea of emotions, I want to dive into today's topic: spiritual narcissism, or replica of creation. In simple terms and otherwise, narcissism, as per the internet, is being overly boastful, exaggerating one's own achievements, pretending to be superior to others, lack of empathy for others, looking down on others as inferior, monopolizing conversations, impatient, angry, unhappy, depressed, or have mood swings when criticized, easily disappointed when expected importance is not given, always craves for the best in everything, has a very fragile self-esteem. Phew! So that's what internet says about narcissism. Keeping this definition of narcissism, let's focus on spiritual narcissism. Spiritual in principle means relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. It aims to cleanse our ideas because it has nothing to do with body. And hypothesis of non-duality says there is no separation other than what it appears to be, which again is our ideas or knowledge that draws the line of separation. A narcissist looks at its own reflection and falls in love with itself. Exactly how I theorize creation in my creation podcast. It was the split or realization of its own presence that gives the desire to keep boasting more and more. I have already discussed and read many excerpts from my book explaining that for something to appear and have subject-object relationship, it has to split. But given the theory that there is only one that manifests as many, there is some kind of memory involved here. When one becomes aware of itself, that moment has to be marked and stored as memory to become knowledge and validate its presence. Two isn't possible without memory, but it says there isn't two, the non-dualism. We can see the chain reaction of the creation, but we are saying there is a root with just one, with the ability to store the split as memory, or at least that's what we have theorized. To look at your reflection, you need another, an image of yourself. The moment you have the knowledge of your presence, you are a narcissist. But does an animal looking at its reflection, does it know it is me? We somehow have processed that information and figured out it is us, when we look at the mirror. When did this split occur? Now, good thing or fortunate thing is you forget whatever you have memorized. We do as humans. But we can never unlearn by force. In my series, I have said that once something becomes a part of your knowledge bank or memory, it is permanently attached to your life force. It could be active or dormant, but never lost. Now, a lot of unlearning or conditioning myth is replacement with a new system. So we can collude our memory further by adding layers of another belief, idea, or memory itself. But as I said, humans have biggest gift to forget things. Somehow you forget things. Events, that are hurtful, or the people who don't matter to you. Like, we cross paths with so many people, but don't remember everyone's face. It does get stored, but it is not active. There is the saying that time is a great healer. So for events that leave an impression and get parked into easily accessible area of memory and strong association to physical experience, will cause us to replay them and bring the memory to the top or as an active recollection. Memory capacity, or RAM, which is random access memory, or the high-speed form of primary storage that our brain can access, is luckily limited. We can't recall everything. We even forget the most cherished moments sometimes, like loved one's birthday or anniversaries, and we are made guilty of neglecting it. But this kind of forgetfulness is a great blessing, or by design, so we don't harp or dwell on things. So erasing of memory is perhaps anti-creation, anti-narcissism, vanity. Even though Yuji said don't worry about how creation came to being, there still are so many theories around creation, because it stares at us without revealing itself on its own. Creation makes its presence known, but never the root or beginning. Like our image in the mirror, we don't know how or when we came to understand or relate that it is us looking back at us. Nasadiya Suktam from Rig Veda, which inspired many nuclear research scientists, talks about speculation of our creation, the origin of creation. It doesn't give any definitive answers, saying there is no knowledge involved there to document the root of creation, or that there is no memory available that documented the first memory of creation. Classic Vedant Upanishads, the basis of my theory of creation in my series All Kaal None, says that one becomes two, and or that one appears as two, giving analogy of snake and rope. But analogies are again samples in our hand from the continuous flow of river, a cup or a drop of water, which is the same as the water. No way to differentiate. Again, all of this is analogy, parallels, comparison to understand what it may be, what it might have been, what it could be. So let's drop the question how one became two, how creation came to be, because non-duality or Advaita means not two. It doesn't mean one, but not two. One automatically means there is two. So that's why I'm saying Advaita means not two. So let's park the abstract of Advaita, which is the hardest concept to understand, but I have attempted it somehow with my 0 and 1 podcast, in case you want to check it out. So let us talk of creation. We humans go back from what we can perceive of this physical world as knowledge, and then we try to extrapolate back that knowledge to creation's root, assuming there is some kind of root and time linearity associated with it. Let's bring focus back to material human world and our lives, which are 100% real to me, not the theories of Advaita or science. So Christianity started explaining this creation by limiting to what we perceived that God created: light, animals, and in his own image, man. This is not wrong or even contradicting to any other Indic speculations. Of course, Christianity came later, and so it is very much inside material world we perceive, something relatable to humans. something not at the metaphysical or philosophical plane. So it is at a very human plane. Material world, as we understand, is anything in mass and energy terms, a derivative of existence as physical. So hypothesis of religions that there is some intelligence that created several derivatives of mass and energy, or the variety that we see in the world around us, is true. And since all of this is a derivative of that unquantifiable intelligence, there is a creator still operating in every product that's coming out of it, meaning creator is part of its creation. But that theory reduces the creator to a mass and energy level or existence level, physical. And so this consciousness, if we would ever know what it is or whatever we are calling it, then has to be within mass energy derivative. But that cannot be it because it is intangible, can't be felt by any of our senses. This is the reason why I have a spin-off, and I'm writing another book where I'm trying to understand. It talks about consciousness in a new light. Again, it is a sadistic romantic fantasy science fiction work, and I have tried to understand this concept and theorized how it transpires on a physical plane, this consciousness. But again, with the hypothesis of some intelligence creating the world, everything in it can be explained in theory that gods, demigods, personal gods, or even demons all can be mass energy combinations, assuming whatever they all are can be tied to knowledge is all byproduct of that. Whatever we can speculate will be under the realm of mass and energy, even mind and thought, etc. So theory of whether there is something outside this antimatter, anti-energy, inert force, if we might call it that, is impossible to grasp. The only way to find out is probably to drop dead. And I have this theorization in my series that to find out the root of creation, we have to leave behind physicality. Once we do that, we cannot memorize it and replay it or store it as knowledge. So it is all in vain anyway. And then there is nobody to find that out and bring back that knowledge into the game of life, because our physicality has gone. And if it is something that we can bring back, then it's again at mass and energy level, catch 22, in the realm of experience attached to our physicality. Moment it's a reflection operating principle of life, be it background or foreground, it's part of the memory, active or dormant. So perhaps forgetfulness is a blessing if you want to push away some of that knowledge aside, as it could be painful to know creation in its entirety, like it happened to Buddha. Now, somewhere I read about someone asking Buddha how it feels or how it felt to be in his state, realized or enlightened, whatever you want to call it. So Buddha said that in 1 human second, it feels like thousands of Buddhas are getting created and destroyed. But the question is how he could see it and record in memory and replay it. That's where comes the idea of narcissism. If anything made it to memory and set itself as knowledge, then isn't it to propagate and get validation or boast of the same? Hypothesis is that memory creation is all but a reflection created so that the creator can see itself, endorse its own presence. Isn't that narcissistic? Having an excessive or erotic interest in oneself and one's physical appearance, a constant need to look at their image, that kind of narcissism. That's why narcissism is deep rooted inside us humans, as it is the reflection of the creator itself. That's how the creation came about. We try to put others down, saying, oh, they take so many selfies, they are narcissist. But As I said just now, narcissism is when someone falls in love with their own reflection. So where do you draw the line? Because if you don't like your reflection that you create, you will end that reflection. You'll kill it. And in my series All Kaal None, this character Quetzal becomes hideously ugly. Although the one she loved said it didn't matter to him. The outer appearance did not matter to him. But she could not stand her own reflection and broke the mirror. And she asked to die. She wanted to end her physical existence. Because even before we go looking for validation from others, it is about us first. It is about us loving what we see looking back at us when we look in the mirror. So the fact that creation wants to sustain itself says it likes its image. Again, it is all baseless and speculation of work of fiction, but narcissism operates immediately if you can look at yourself. If you come to look at yourself. This awareness, which is not the same as life consciousness or life force, but a memory in action. So purely from societal norms, this narcissism operates in us at every given moment. We choose to condemn some by our own standards and measures and behaviors and say whatever outside to these parameters, let's call it narcissist. But it's a subjective thing from societal perspective. Even if we don't care about it, the etymology of the word narcissism and its story says it all. I mean, reflection or image building made possible by memory, and that continues to reflect itself, is enough justification for this idea of narcissism. Recently, I came across this article on spiritual narcissism, which is a great article, by the way, while functioning in the world. That's how it talks about it. It talks about how so-called spiritual progress makes one think they are superior, and then they try to convert, spread the good stuff, love, or even live with a formula that they have something special in them, condescending on you with a smile and compliments. While it is a good thing for many, I can't help but wonder if there is anything possible at all outside of the realm of narcissism for us as humans. Who is the judge? Human societal blockchain? Or until this 51% flip the definition around? Maybe narcissism is an immediate effect of the moment when our reflection manifests. Or so the whole figuring out a way to live is like containing a nuclear reaction. Like our creation, which is out of control, that extra one making it two has already spawned too much to get to the root of the same. Maybe scientists have better understanding on this, and even well-studied philosophers or gurus have their own understanding on how one can operate in this Vasishtha Advaita state, the non-dual state. Ramanujacharya, who was Yuji's favorite saint, he disagreed with his guru and non-dualistic state, hence promoting dualism, because creation came about only after split, and we live it and promote it. So perhaps leave behind non-dualism and live life as it comes. Well, thank you for listening. This is author BB Flower signing off. Bye-bye.